Greetings, everybody, and welcome to Conversations with Carp. I'm Steve Carpenter, Hutchinson Community College Sports Information Director, and your host for this podcast. As in case you haven't seen it, there's still no games going on, so Conversations with Carp is our way to let the Blue Dragon Nation know what's going on in the world of the Blue Dragons. Now, today I am very fortunate and very pleased to be joined by maybe the biggest fan of them all, the Blue Dragons, and the guy who has the biggest office on campus, and I'm referring to our college president, Dr. Carter File. Dr. File, thanks for taking some time to speak with us today.
Thank you, Carp. It's a pleasure to be with you. And if I am the highlight of your day, you really need to step your game up, bud.
Let's just get right into it. There was nothing that in your years of going to school, high school, getting all your degrees, that prepared any of us for what we've endured the last month. How crazy has it been for you?
You know, Steve, you're exactly right. There is no playbook for what the nation is going through right now. You just, you get prepared for emergency situations, and you kind of you do the best you can. But there's no blueprint for this. And the good news is, at Hutchinson Community College, we have terrific individuals, terrific employees, and people who are all pulling in the same direction. I guess all you can do during a crisis is sit down with your leadership group, look at what has to be done, and just do it. That's about all you can do, because you're absolutely right. There was no pandemic management 101.
There might be now after this. That'll be interesting to see how that follows. In the early stages of this, Dr. File, I've never seen a situation be so fluid where something would be one way in an hour, and then an hour later changes, and then in another hour changes again. How difficult was that for you, trying to collect the information and put together a game plan with everything changing so fast?
Yeah, Steve, it was difficult, and it wasn't just difficult for me. I know it was difficult for you folks in athletic. It was difficult for the academic folks. What we had to do was we had to stay in contact. We had a lot of meetings. To your point, one, I believe it was a Saturday morning, we met at 9:00 because that Friday the Reno County Commission had voted to issue a stay-at-home order. So we got together to figure out what that meant for the college. And then that plan was good for about 15 minutes, because then Governor Kelly came out and closed everything down across the state. So we had to just readjust to that. But I think the most important thing is that we were able to get together, communicate across the organization, and just we have terrific people in terrific leadership positions, and they've done a nice job. Josh Gooch, athletic director, has worked with you and the coaches, and of course Steve Kapman and Scott Brooks at Julie Renaud to really keep the athletic department working, keep recruiting athletes the way we can. I'm so awed at how you guys have used technology to continue to recruit athletes. But I think the main thing was we just kept talking. We tried to put together plans. We'd put together plans. We'd execute them as long as we could. And as soon as that plan became ineffective, we'd do something different.
I guess, and this would be odd to say, the timing was of everything kind of ended up being somewhat good. We were coming up on spring break, and that sort of gave us another week to apply everything and try to figure out the direction we were going, which ended up being online classes. So just kind of talk to us about so far how the online experience is working. I honestly have not heard anything bad. Everybody seems to be getting their coursework done that's connected with me. So at least from my end of it, everything's going pretty good. What about from your perspective?
Yeah, Steve, from our perspective, from where I'm sitting, our faculty have been they've been fantastic. They stepped up. They moved all of their face-to-face to online for students. They very much, our faculty are interested in one thing, and that's student success. They want to make sure these students succeed. Most of them love to be in the classroom because they love that interaction with students. But what they really care about is getting those students across the finish line, making sure that those students complete, and they have absolutely been outstanding. I think that we're going to find that the completion rates were very similar to what face-to-face completion rates were, and that we haven't suffered a substantial drop-off, because especially for student athletes, they have to have these classes. They've got to get them completed. For the non-student athlete students, they need to complete these classes because they want to go on to their next semester. So the faculty have been great. The students have embraced it. At the end of the day, Hutchinson Community College was very well positioned to do this because we have an outstanding online education department that could help our faculty transition these courses. And many of our faculty are old hands at these online classes and using technology. So, it's kind of the perfect storm, but a perfect storm in a good way, because we have the technology, we have the human capacity and the human capital to do it. And we also have great students who, quite honestly, they want to finish. Coach Knack kind of told me, I asked him how it was going offline, and he said, well, the students that were engaged are still engaged. The ones that were less engaged, we're working with them. And so they're very much, the faculty are very much working with every student to make sure they have the tools that they need to be successful and complete their courses.
That's awesome. May 8th, 2014, obviously a very big day in your professional career. That was the day you were named president here at Hutchinson Community College. Took over on July 1st. I gave Josh Gooch a kind of a ribbing when he was hired. I said, you're liable to not have a normal day until we're a year back into the arena. Well, when we started these podcasts, he was my first guest, and he hasn't had a normal day yet. You really haven't had a normal one either as president. There was a sports arena renovation, the hiring of Josh, several other facilities projects, and now the coronavirus. So there hasn't really been a normal day that you've had either.
Well, I guess that's what normal is, Steve. Is expect the unexpected, and just know that we have a great institution here. We have great employees, and it's fun. It's fun when it's not boring. It's fun when it's not static. So the things you mentioned, obviously the arena renovation and some of the things we've done at Gowan Stadium, the new cafeteria we're doing here, those are all fun projects, and we've had a few great seasons in all of Blue Dragon athletics, won a national championship in there, so it's all been good, but you're right, it changes from day to day, and that's exactly how I like it.
You bet. Now, you came here in 2005 as Dean of Finance. You were my immediate supervisor for motor pool, and I can't remember all the times I had to call you for some really bizarre questions. And the one that still sticks out to me, I don't know if you remember this because there were a lot, but was one of the Van Doors fell off in Salina on the softball team.
Yeah, I do remember that, and I think that was when I think that was when we decided that van probably needed to be retired. Yeah, we certainly do our best to use up our equipment as much as we can, especially our rolling stock. But I think that was one, Steve, maybe we let it go a little bit too far.
Indeed. So before Hutchinson Community College, kind of take your path to Hutch, if you would, please.
Sure. Well, I'll go back to a lot of people who know me know that I grew up in Beloit, Kansas, which is in north central Kansas. Graduated from high school in 1978. Went to work for a couple of years. Actually, my first higher education out of high school was I went to North Central Kansas Vocational Technical School to learn to be an electrician. And so I did that for 6 months, and like a lot of students, I got just enough skills to go get hired by somebody. And when I got hired by them, hold on just a second. When I got hired by an electrician in Lawrence, Kansas, I went to work for about 6 months, and that was in the early 80s. So for those of us who are old enough to remember the 1980, 81, there was a severe recession during that time as well.
Indeed, there was.
And so I was laid off, and I decided at that point I probably should, like many people that get laid off and are out of work, I decided to go get a college degree. I went back to hometown, went to Cloud County, graduated from there. So I'm an associate's degree holder as well as many of our people here at Hutch are. I'm just from the wrong college that I'm told. Then I went to Kansas State and got a bachelor's degree in business administration. Again, the wrong college, I'm told by my Jayhawk friends. And then I went to work in business and industry for a number of years. I was a chief financial officer, I am a CPA, and so I did accounting work for about 20 years in the private sector, and then in my early 40s, I decided to move into higher education just because I wanted to change, and I thought higher education presented a great opportunity for me to get involved in something that matters. I went to work as a chief financial officer or a vice president of finance and operations for the aforementioned Cloud County. Was there for about 5 years. From there, I came to Hutchinson, and I've spent the last 15 or 16 years here at Hutchinson.
Yeah, it just seems like you and I think you and I could probably tell story after story and never repeat, either motor pool or whatever. We've had some unusual experiences together.
Indeed we have.
So last October, you are out. Your birthday is on Halloween. A little surprise for you. Talk about that a little bit. I honestly didn't know that was happening. I thought we were actually over there talking about the new cafeteria. It was a surprise, especially when a certain somebody walked in the Duke costume.
So we had we'd actually scheduled a meeting that, little to my knowledge, was a meeting we needed to have, but it was also a setup. And I was talking to a number of employees about the new cafeteria and what it meant to us and what it was going to look like and kind of what the schedule was. And all of a sudden, Duke the Dragon comes out into the middle of the while I'm talking to these employees, and starts dancing around to music. And then Denny Steckline, who is our director of marketing and public relations, started to do some announcements over the PA. And I finally tumbled to that it was they were pulling a prank on me for my birthday. Well, then Duke the Dragon kept kind of bothering me, and I was starting to get just a little bit annoyed with Duke. And then they took the head off, and it was my daughter from Florida had come up to see me on my birthday, because it happened to have been my 60th birthday. And so that was quite entertaining and a lot of fun. It's one of those things that, I'll remember all my life.
It was a neat deal. And I haven't gotten to see your daughter in quite some time, so it was even a surprise for me. We chatted a little bit. So,
well, the thing that I should have noticed was our Dukes are usually a little taller, and Emily, my blessed little daughter, is not all that tall, and so I should have noticed that Duke was a little bit shorter than our normal Duke. But I was kind of more interested in just getting Duke out of there so I could finish what I was doing.
Well, I mentioned in the opening that you are one of our biggest fans, and you do have moments where you get a little surly with the referees and everything. So, but yeah, just talk about some Blue Dragon athletic memories that really, obviously the national championship, but talk about some really good Blue Dragon athletic memories.
There's so many of them. I think one of them would be when we beat Butler County in football over at El Dorado and on their new stadium. Ryan had we played them close a couple of times, and then that year we came through. We won the conference outright that year, and I think that was the first time. Steve, and you would know this, but the first time we won the conference in football since 1969, that we won it outright with no share of the title.
Right.
So that's real memorable. Beating Iowa Western here this last year was pretty memorable. Beating them up there was memorable. Basketball, I love basketball. I love to watch them. I love to watch our basketball athletes. Going up to Salina and watching some of those great women's teams that John Onchus has had up there, watching Kalani Purcell play, outstanding basketball player. Just the whole gamut. And of course, you can't talk about great moments for me in Blue Dragon athletics without talking about the two appearances in the national finals. Yes. The first year didn't turn out quite the way we wanted. The second year was so dominant that they should have given us the championship from the year before too. But those are all great things. One of my favorite events, quite honestly, and it's something that doesn't get a lot of publicity, is I love the evening cross country run that Justin Riggs has developed out at Fun Valley. Yep. They run in the evenings, and it's a really neat environment. Watching those athletes put their heart and soul into it is really inspiring. So there's a lot of them. I loved watching baseball. There was a time I think that they really would have banned me from baseball because they were having one of their best seasons, and I was unable to make any of the games until they got to the playoffs, and they lost more games I think in the playoffs than they did the rest of the season. So they're all great. Volleyball, Pat Hall and his squad, Sammy Lane. Watching Sammy, watching his his cool, calm demeanor on the sidelines is always fun.
Never a dull moment.
So I just all of the things that make up Blue Dragon athletics, watching these students compete at that level. So it's really great. So all of our coaches, Steve X, all of our coaches are wonderful.
And then kind of the nice thing for you is being from Beloit, at least twice a year, you got a chance to see your high school team perhaps compete here at the Sports Arena with the state volleyball and state basketball tournaments.
Well, and if you throw football in there once in a while, they get a nod in football.
Very true.
So it's. I get to see the mighty Beloit Trojans once in a while, and they were actually playing in this year's 3A tournament. They have a really good team. I thought they had a decent chance of maybe winning the tournament. Last year they played in the finals and came up short, and I was kind of hoping they could get over the hump in basketball this year because I don't believe Beloit High's ever won a state championship in basketball.
Wow.
And so I'm just excited that they'll get it done one of these days.
You bet. Well, like I said, you're a great advocate for Blue Dragon athletics as well as Hutchinson Community College. And I know when you got the job, I emailed you and hoped for a long and prosperous tenure. And so far, so good. And many more years, hopefully, we'll be together.
So far, so good, Steve. And what makes this job great and what makes the coming to work every day, not knowing exactly what it's going to go like, is the people. We have wonderful employees here at Hutchinson Community College, And Hutchinson is an outstanding community. They support this college. The college, we love the community. We love being here. So it is, this is what it's all about. A great community college educating great students.
Well, we appreciate you taking some time, and we will talk to you again soon.
Steve, it's my pleasure, and stay safe.
Thank you. You too. That was Dr. Carter File, president of Hutchinson Community College, and that'll wrap up another episode of Conversations with Carp. We'll talk to you again soon. So long, everybody.